Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on the Mustang. I'm going to be installing some lower control arm relocation brackets. Basically, when you lower your car or your Mustang, any car really, when you lower it, there are some specific suspension parts that need to be considered. So when you lower your Mustang, your lower control arms, which are important for good launches and stuff like that, getting power to the ground. When you lower that, the angle that the lower control arms take change. So you can buy these lower control arm brackets. They're fairly inexpensive. Basically what they do is take the stock position where the lower control arm sits, which would usually be like a hole like this, and allows you to drop it to different heights. So this is a BMR set. It's adjustable with several different configurations. I'm going to go ahead and get the Mustang in the air and show you there. So right here is a good example. So that's my lower control arm. I've actually swapped it out for a BMR solid lower control arm. They come stock from the factory, stamped steel. They flex, and it creates lots of wheel hop and just bad launches. As you can see, I am actually on an incline right now, so I'm not sure how much that affects it, but with my car being lowered, I have Roush Stage 2 suspension. It's actually even angled upwards. So the right side of the control arm right here connects to the body of the car, and then the other side actually connects to the bottom of the axle. So this is one way it controls the up and down movement of your rear axle. You want this aimed downwards because when you go for a launch, all the weight of the car is going to go backwards, and this way it allows it to kind of stab it into the ground, versus right now it's almost aimed upwards. It might even lift and create wheel hop. So when you lower your car, you definitely want to add these relocation brackets. Just operating your lower control arms is a great idea to begin with, but adding these control arms will definitely help with my 60 foot at the track and just better launches overall. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise the car and give you a better look at them. All right, so I got the car lifted. I got the body supported by the jacks on the frame rails. I also just have a little bit of tension on the jack on the rear differential. Right there are the lower control arms. Since the suspension is pretty much unloaded, they're kind of at the correct angle. Basically, you just want those down on that side close to us, aiming downwards. That way it'll force the tires into the ground when you go from a hard launch. Just a transfer of weight, better geometry. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to unbolt this side and the other side. First off, I'll just actually need to remove the tires. It'll just give us better access to all this. And then once I have those unbolted, I think I need to unbolt the panhard bar right there. I think it uses part of that, or the bolt on the other side of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my tools and get started on this, removing the tires first and then unbolting the lower control arms. I'll probably do one side at a time just so it's easier. Not entirely sure how much footage I just lost there. Camera just for whatever reason stopped. We needed to lower this and then we can get this in place. This will go through with one of the new bolts provided here, one of the spacers in between it. So I'm going to go ahead and get that secure on now. Alright, so I got that bolt in. I still need to get a bolt through the panhard bar, but it is pretty much lined up for one. I have the lower control arm and the lowest setting here. In my understanding of this, lower is probably better. I'm going to do some research. It looks like the previous owner of this kit had it on the second rung, which I've seen a lot of people do. I'm assuming it's kind of just like a good middle ground. So I'm just going to read up just real fast. I might just do this one because it's actually already lined up. I could pretty much get a bolt through it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do some reading and be right back with my decision where to put it. Alright guys, I ended up deciding on going with the center hole. Basically, it is still quite significant drop from here, But from what I've read is there are actually some disadvantages from lowering it so far. I've read that some people say that the lift or the rear feels to rise a bit, and also like there's a bit more oversteer. They say it does perform the best in like straight line performance, so if that's all you really care about, then certainly go with the bottom one. I kind of have a mixed bag with my car. It's my daily, so I'm going to leave it on this, just see how it is. The ultimate answer to this question is it really depends on how you're driving and experimentation. So chances are I might even adjust this, you know, after to a higher position, you know, depending on how this works for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my panhard bar back in place. It's kind of just out a bit. I think I can just loosen this up, give it some more length, and bring it back into spec, and then should be good to go. Get the bolt through there, and should be good. There is this bolt hole here. I think it's for one of these guys. As far as I know, some of these Mustangs came with weights on the axle that would sit right here. Mine didn't have them, or the previous owner removed them. Either way, I think that's where a bolt goes, just kind of secure it a bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these in place now. All right, I've got to jump to working on this side. The panhard bar, I just can't seem to get straightened out, so I'm gonna at least do this, both of the relocation brackets. I should even out the axle, and then if I need to, I can even just remove the panhard bar from that side and then resize it. I think it's not wanting to move because of the tension it has under it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start removing this one. I just removed that bolt, and then just gotta hammer the panhard bar down and get the new one in its place. The other bracket's not as hard to get in because I don't need to have to mess with the panhard bar, so this one should be pretty fast. Not sure what goes in there. I mean, that is where, so I've read the instructions, and that's actually where the axle weight would have gone. So I don't really have the hardware for that. I'm not sure what that's about. Also this side too, like, it's pretty weird. So I have to figure it out. But now I can get this guy on. Should go on pretty easily, hopefully. Definitely will need to torque this down to the correct specs. Another thing with this whole kit is I'm not exactly sure. This should have been hitting the inside this before, which would stop it from rotating on whatever else. Or is actually going to be hitting the axle, so the tab up here. It's hitting the sway bar now. I'm not sure if that's going to be a problem, but we will see. That's pretty tight, so I'm going to go ahead and figure out the rest of these bolts and the panhard bar, and we should be done. All right, I got the passenger side one on, just tightened down, and then I am going to have to remove my panhard bar just to get it in place. I have no idea why it was so tough, but I need to extend this a little bit so it reaches both sides, and once it's attached, I can go ahead and tie it back in together, pull them together. So I'm going to go ahead and punch this in and then show you once it's pretty much done. All right, guys, we are pretty much done. We did have to take off the panhard bar. It really was just that stuck. Once we got it off, put some penetrating fluid and heated it up, and we're able to loosen it, get that back in spec. Really just, I really put myself in a lot of like handicaps of this whole thing because we're on an incline and I'm lifting one side. We obviously don't have like a lift or anything like that, and like really not the best conditions to be doing this. Also lifting from the axle and lifting from the frame and just changing stuff, there's a lot that goes into it. So if you can, you know, swing it, do it at a shop, have a like a lift or something, but this is definitely doable in your driveway, inclined driveway on jack stands. I did it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the wheels back on and show you the angle of the lower control arms. Also, if you do this on jack stands, it's good to have a buddy that can help, because you really do need like people at both sides on some of these things to really get it in line.
Especially with threading the bolts in.
Yeah.
Like, even almost having a third guy would have helped this too.
Yeah.
Made it go a lot easier.
So, also forgot to mention the bolts. I believe they all get torqued to around like 135 to 150 foot-pounds of torque. You can use Loctite on them as well. I did not have axle weights, so I'm just going to forego that bolt. It just doesn't really do anything. If I feel spicy down the road, I might, add a bolt to it or something if I notice anything wrong or anything like that, but should be all good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get my tires on and move my car back in its spot over there. So, all right, I got a chance to take my Mustang on a test drive, and as you can see there, it is angled slightly down. It's angled downwards now, so geometry should be much better, and since there are multiple points, it's a... All right, guys, it's next day. I took my Mustang out on a test drive yesterday, and everything worked perfectly fine. I didn't get a chance to really get on it or anything like that, so we'll see what it's like at the track. PIR is open like first week or second week of May, so might be able to test it out there, check my 60 foots. Especially with the new transmission, that'll be really fun to see my times versus the 5R transmission. But
are you taking the slicks?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely bringing the slicks.
He hasn't ran with those slicks yet.
I haven't been able to use
slicks
them
at all.
Yeah, the 5R, I really bogged with them, so there's too much traction.
Oh, you did have them?
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
then the Nittos that I have on them right now are they're not as good. They're actually not very good. The NT555s. They're also old, so they're not the best at hooking. But now that I have the 5R, the stall, I'll be able to launch at like 3,500 RPM.
That should be way...
Those slicks will hook, and we'll see if we can drop my ETs, because the best they've been able to do is 13.2. The new transmission, relocation brackets, and the slicks, I'll have like all the traction. I'll be able to launch really hard, hopefully not bog it. And then in, I'd say probably like June, probably once I have everything, that's when I'm going to start my supercharger installation. So that'll be really awesome. So thanks guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, just wanted to add a final note. During the installation, I actually did not remember or couldn't find those new fasteners for the bottom where you connect the relocation brackets. I was using the old fasteners, and that bolt was actually, or that nut was hitting the sway bar. It was causing some noise and stuff, so went ahead and put those new bolts back in, and it's running much better, as well as those axle weights. I went and put those bolts in as well. So it is much more secure, and just wanted to add that. Also added some Loctite, so just wanted to add that to the end of the video. Thanks for watching.